Games are a powerful form of expression that offer the ability and grant access to socializing. Take the original Dying Light for example. I touched briefly on this in my last video, but there are hundreds of you in this community, especially in that Discord. You all found each other through a game and started expressing yourselves because of it. Now, what if I introduced to you restrictions of playing that game? And because of that, you can't participate into the community. Restrictions that were out of your control, limiting your access for playing the game. Now, if there was ever a video that I wanted you to watch on this channel, it's this one, because I want to really highlight the importance of accessibility and what it means for gaming, and why Dying Light 2 needs to be better when it comes to supporting these groups of gamers. So I'm gonna be honest, this one is slightly personal to me. I actually work at a university and I specialize in accessibility work. I do see the first-hand benefits of making your product accessible. So essentially what accessibility is, it's making your product more usable to individuals that have a disability or some sort of impairment. So in a game sense and in the gaming world, making your game more accessible allows for individuals, regardless of a disability, the opportunity to play your game. Without these accessible features, the Dying Light community would be excluding a great amount of people from playing the game. And we will look at an example of this where this has happened in the past. So why raise this point now? We don't really know what stage of development the game is currently at. Therefore, it's best to bring this opinion and put it out there for at least someone to see and hopefully raise awareness on this issue. I bring it up because when I was replaying through the original Dying Light, I noticed that there was a lack of accessibility options, and it doesn't seem like many people paid attention to it. One of the main driving forces behind making this video was this Dying Light forum post that I stumbled across where a user wanted support for colorblind and epileptic players, and this was made in late 2020. The player discusses how they had a hard time distinguishing zombies and objects from the environment due to the current color palette that is being used. And on top of this, another issue they ran into was regarding epilepsy and how certain lighting strategies, flashes that would make the game unbearable to play at certain points. Having to constantly look away from your screen due to flashes is something that shouldn't be occurring. And this is why I'm calling for Dying Light 2 to have accessibility support. And if Techland were to ever come across this video, here are some things that are the basic as to what the game needs to include. It would not only benefit one excluded group that is always forgotten about, but it'll make it better for all gamers. Colorblind support is a massive one to include in the game. More and more games are starting to support this. Upon my review of the Dying Light menus and with the post from the forum, there is a lack of colorblind support and there is clearly a need for it. Especially when the minimap has different symbols based on color, it's hard to determine what is what when you're colorblind. Next, another main thing is the QuickTime events, button prompts. Dying Light was a fan of button mashing and QTEs. This form of game design is a major progression halt that could stop gamers from proceeding. A good combat to this would be to include something like what Spider-Man did, where they had the option to auto-complete some of the QuickTime events that you do come across. It is difficult to quickly press buttons due to impairment, and in some cases, it may even halt progression to the game. In the original, the final boss fight had very little room for failure. An individual may have had a very difficult time trying to beat that quick time event boss fight that it was. And on top of this, throughout the game you're also opening crates and pushing zombies away. Sometimes you may have to spam press some buttons in order to proceed, which once again could be a restriction for individuals that do come across this task. Last one that I do have, trust me, I can go on and on about this. Like I said, I work in this field and I'd be happy to talk to anyone regarding this. But many times do games fail to include customization to subtitles. Something as simple as adding extra additions to subtitles really goes a long way. Some great ones that the sequel needs to have is having the ability to increase the size of the subtitles, making sure that we know who is talking, which the original did do very well, so props to that for them. Having the ability to customize the color of the subtitles, and also introducing a background as well. Like I've said, these are much needed features for Dying Light 2, and it will not only benefit those with impairments, but also all gamers playing Dying Light. Allowing more individuals to play the game offers them the chance of socializing and expression. Without these features, they may be locked out of that opportunity. They may be locked out of content, and it's all because of something that's out of their control. Now, there are a lot of things I do want with this sequel, but as I stated today, this is something that is absolutely needed for the community. There is an importance for accessibility in the gaming world, and more developers need to realize that, and I hope I was able to bring some awareness to this subject. I have somewhat of a platform to voice these concerns on it, and I want to use it to bring some good. So fingers crossed it does go that way. But anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. If you had any questions or suggestions on what we discussed, I'd be more than happy to talk about it with you. So feel free to comment down below. But with all that said, if you did enjoy, consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.